When a rainbow appears vividly in the sky, you can see its beautiful colors, but you cannot wear it as clothing or use it as an ornament. It arises through the conjunction of various factors, but there is nothing that can be grasped. In the same way, the thoughts that arise in the mind have no tangible existence or intrinsic solidity. There is no logical reason why thoughts, which have no substance, should have such power over you, nor is there any reason why you should become their slave. The endless succession of past, present, and future thoughts leads us to believe that there is something inherently and consistently present, and we call it mind. But in truth, past thoughts are as dead as a corpse. Future thoughts have not yet arisen. So how could these two, which do not exist, be part of an entity that inherently exists? In reality, all that exists is the nature of mind. Yet this empty nature of mind is not merely a blank void like empty space. There is an immediate awareness present. This clarity of mind is like the sun, illuminating the landscape and allowing you to see the mountain, the path, and the precipice, where to go and where not to go. Although the mind has this inherent awareness, to say there is a mind is to give a label to something that does not exist. It is to assume the existence of something that is nothing more than a name given to a succession of events. 108 beads strung together, for example, can be called a mala, but this mala is not a thing that inherently exists by itself. If the string breaks, where did the mala go? We have been deluded by our own thoughts. Observe that a beautiful object has no intrinsic quality that is good for the mind, nor does an ugly object have any intrinsic power to harm it. Beautiful and ugly are merely projections of the mind. The capacity to cause happiness or suffering is not a property of the external object itself. For example, the sight of a particular person may bring happiness to one and suffering to another. It is the mind that assigns such qualities to the perceived object. Through our own mental fabrications, we generate attachment and aversion. To get what they want and rid themselves of what they dislike, see how people throw themselves into torment, like moths diving into the flame of a lamp. Wouldn't it be better to abandon once and for all your heavy burden of dreamlike obsessions? Those who seek happiness in pleasure, wealth, fame, power, and heroism are as naive as a child trying to catch a rainbow to wear it as a coat. Once you have the vision of emptiness, although the illusory perceptions of samsara may arise in your mind, you will be like the sky. When a rainbow appears, the sky does not feel particularly flattered, and when clouds appear, it does not feel particularly disappointed. There is a deep sense of contentment. You laugh inwardly at the facade of samsara and nirvana. This vision allows you a constant amusement, a little inner smile that bubbles up all the time. The wind blows through the sky and flies across continents without settling anywhere. It passes through space and leaves no trace. Likewise, thoughts should pass through our minds without leaving karmic residue and without altering our understanding of fundamental simplicity. After knowing this nature of mind, you must achieve stability and confidence in recognizing it, so that the mind remains in this state of simplicity without wavering. To achieve stability, the practice of meditation is necessary. When engaging in practice, one must develop the feeling of opening completely to the entire universe, with absolute simplicity and nakedness of spirit, freeing oneself from all protective barriers. When meditating, do not mentally split yourself in two, one part of the mind watching the other like a cat watching a mouse. We should understand that we do not meditate to go deeper into ourselves and withdraw from the world. the total openness of mind is the essential point. When people are about to settle into the natural path of the mind's essence, some merely try to remain conscious and attentive. They rest in a state of awareness with a feeling of clarity, or they fix themselves in a state of total emptiness, as if their mind were blank. But in both cases, these are still dualistic experiences. There is always the observer and the observed. Whenever this duality occurs between clarity and the one who perceives clarity, or emptiness and the one who perceives emptiness, observe the nature of this flow of attention that has been rigidly fixed. By doing this, you pull the stake to which the dualistic mind has tied itself to an observer and something observed, and you open space for the natural state of naked and open awareness, a luminous emptiness without center or edge. To grasp in a non-dual way this natural, luminous, and open state is the essence of awareness. It is the dawn of naked wisdom, free from the veils of fixed experience. When engaging in practice, let the mind remain in its completely natural and unplanned state. Be like a newborn baby in a cradle. Even if surrounded by threatening armies wielding swords, the baby has no fear. In short, there should be no modification of the natural state. Seeing the world with all the untouched simplicity of a child, you will be free from concepts of beauty and ugliness, good and evil, and you will no longer be a victim of conflicting tendencies driven by desire or aversion. Once you have understood the nature of things, you will no longer have hope of attaining the state of Buddha, nor will you be anxious about the possibility of not attaining it. We simply remain in the all-pervading state of peace, in which all notions of subject and object have been released into their own sphere. What we call mind does not really exist. When you realize that the mind does not exist as a thing, you must remain in that experience without trying to label or define it. When you no longer perpetuate the movement of thoughts, they dissolve by themselves, leaving no trace. Banishing all hope and all fear, rest in the certainty that the primordial simplicity of awareness is itself the state of Buddha. This is the path of perfect happiness, in which all the qualities of enlightenment will flourish without any effort. We know that smoke indicates the presence of fire, but it is not the fire itself. However, by following the smoke, we can find the fire. Similarly, it is important to understand that the vision of emptiness is not the same as the actual experience of emptiness. But by following the vision and familiarizing ourselves with it, we will arrive at the real realization of our own emptiness, free from any concepts or theories. When we begin to meditate on the nature of mind, it is preferable to do short meditation sessions several times a day. With perseverance, we will progressively perceive the nature of mind, and this understanding will become more stable. At this stage, thoughts will have lost the power to disturb and overwhelm us. Whatever the circumstances, we do not become euphoric or depressed, but remain free and at ease in an unshakable serenity. Once emptiness is found, it is like summer, when the earth becomes warm and all the orchards and forests begin to grow naturally, without effort. When the nature of awareness is identified, there will no longer be any difference between meditation and post-meditation experience. Awareness will become clearer and clearer by itself. We do not need to force it to become so. We can never understand the nature of mind through intense effort, but only by relaxing, just as taming a wild horse requires that we approach it gently and treat it with kindness, rather than chasing after it and trying to use force. Therefore, do not try to capture the nature of mind, just leave it as it is. Rest naturally, without effort, without distraction. Thus it is said, "Look at the mind, there is nothing to see. Seeing nothing, we see the Dharma, the source of all Buddhas. Without effort, the inconceivable qualities are naturally perfect. In the practice of the great perfection, Dzogchen, we first recognize the primordial nature of mind, and then we become increasingly skilled in recognizing it, eventually achieving the complete stability of realization. Understand this: it is more important to take fundamental instructions seriously than to receive many teachings. If we sometimes practice diligently and other times simply take it easy, we will not be able to develop confidence in our meditation on the vision. What must we do to develop this confidence? We must understand that day and night, throughout the entire dimension of our lives, there is no difference between the experience of meditation and the experience of post-meditation. The daily practice of the great perfection is simply our own daily life. The daily practice of the great perfection is simply developing total acceptance, free from worries, an openness to all situations without limits. We must relate to people without artificiality, manipulation, or any strategy. We must experience everything fully, never closing ourselves off like a marmot hiding in its burrow. This practice releases a powerful energy that is usually restricted by the process of maintaining fixed reference points. Establishing reference points is the process by which we escape direct experience in our daily life. Remember, the total openness of mind is the essential point. When we engage in the practice of discovering space, we must develop the feeling of opening completely to the entire universe, opening ourselves with total simplicity and mental nakedness. Being present in the moment, for example, is something that can be scary at first, but if we welcome the feeling of fear through total openness, we will destroy the barriers created by our emotional patterns. This is the powerful and simple practice of letting the protective mask of the self fall away. In your daily life, always try to perform even the smallest beneficial action without any reservation or hesitation, and avoid even the most insignificant negative actions. Now, if you only talk about the vision of emptiness, but at the same time behave recklessly, it is said that your conduct has gone astray. If you believe that, since everything is empty by nature, there is no problem doing whatever you want, and that it makes no difference whether your actions are virtuous or non-virtuous, then your conduct has gone astray. All the great teachers say exactly the opposite, that the more you understand the vision of emptiness, the more conscious and careful you become regarding the law of cause and effect. Your vision can and should be as elevated as possible. There is no danger in that, since enlightenment is the total realization of the absolute vision. But at the same time, your behavior must be as grounded as possible in the awareness of cause and effect. If you lose this basic attitude toward actions, if you forget all common sense and use the elevation of vision as an excuse to act on whatever comes to your mind, you will be engaging in worldly activities contrary to the Dharma, just like the worldly activities of ordinary people. Live in harmony with the Dharma. Make it the heart of your life. The teachings of the Dharma have great power, but unless you practice them properly, that power will remain merely as a potential that is never expressed. If someone has a tool and does not use it, little will be accomplished. An unused tool is not particularly beneficial by itself. But if you truly put the teachings into practice, as the Dharma is born and grows in your mental stream, all your faults will naturally diminish, and all your positive qualities will spontaneously flourish. Just as the sun, rising in the morning, gradually spreads its growing light throughout the world. Immerse yourself in the meaning of the teachings, day after day, month after month, and the spiritual qualities of a bodhisattva will develop without difficulty. Now, practice the Dharma. The more you practice, the greater your satisfaction will be.